I want to thank everybody for coming. First of all, I know in the summertime, there's all kinds of things going on, vacation, and certainly the last place you want to be probably is here right now listening to me talk, and I understand that. But we have some important things to cover, certainly for those of you whose kids are going to participate in extracurricular activities here at Mascoutah High School, namely athletics. This is the athletic parent meeting, so for those of you that maybe are not in the right place, that's what we're going to talk about tonight and what we expect for your young people to be a part of our athletic program here at Mascoutah. So we'll jump right in. My name is Scott Battis. I've been the athletic director here for, I believe this is my 9th year. I lost count. I think it's my 9th year. My 20th year in education, 9th year as an athletic administrator, and truly have loved every second of it. Hopefully, by your kids being a part of our athletic program, I try to take something away every single year from the kids and the groups that we have. And this year, we'll bring a whole new group of freshmen and transfer students in to be a part of our program, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I want to talk a little bit about what we're about as an athletic program. And if you know anything about our athletic program, or you follow us on social media, or you've done anything with us, our philosophy is broken down into 3 categories: energy, attitude, and toughness. And it's something that we established a few years ago about how we can get through tough times and how we can experience good times with a level head and good value within our programs. So I don't need to sit here and talk about this for 10 minutes. Your kids will learn plenty about it as they go through. But energy, attitude, and toughness are the 3 things that they will get sick of hearing, likely. You may too. But it's what we hang our hat on. It's what we believe in. And my whole goal when we establish these principles with our athletic program is that when I surveyed, when I first got into this profession, and I talked to college kids that left here or left other places, just college kids in general, and they went to other athletic programs. I asked several of them, what is one thing that you remember from your high school athletic program? And all we got was common answers. You know, I remember practice was fun. I remember playing on Friday nights. I remember, running out of the tunnel. And what bothered me about that is, to me, those are the most insignificant things that we do. That's not what sports are about. And what we want our kids to do when they leave Mascoutah High School is to leave with value. No matter if they're athletes or not in college. When they become adults, have some value that they took from our athletic program. So these are the things that we're gonna talk about. And this quote on the right, I have several quotes tonight that I'll talk about, but this is a one that's important to me. Culture is not delegated, cannot be delegated. Okay, it has to be embraced by everybody that's a part of it, or you don't have one. Blame and complain are both very contagious. And if we allow that to get inside of our culture, we have problems. So you got to take that with you as a parent. You got to take that with you as an athlete. And hopefully we get beyond that and understand that our athletic program here is created to be a positive place. We're not perfect. I make mistakes. Our coaches make mistakes. Our athletes do, and so do our parents. We all make mistakes. It's about getting better every day and having a purpose and showing our kids what it's like to display these things, not only in school, but outside of the building as well. So how do we inject these things into our programs? So one thing that we do is every single week in our athletic program, starting 2 weeks from now, which August 8th is the first day of fall practice, we will have energy, attitude, and toughness weeks. The first one will be Energy Week. And what we do in Energy Week is that's our focus all week in that program, energy. Our coaches should be talking about it all week. They should be highlighting it all week. They should be calling kids up all week to meet the energy level they expect. And then attitude the following week, toughness the following week. It's a 4-week cycle. The 4th week would be a theme that the coach comes up with on their own, something that's important to their program. Can be anything, okay? Could be character, could be drive, could be passion, whatever they want. So we let our programs pick one as long as they follow in order. And then if you follow us on Twitter and on Facebook, we will have Energy Athletes of the Week every Friday. And they'll come down to the office, we'll get a special wristband that says Energy, and they get to keep it. And it's just a little token of our appreciation of them modeling what we expect. And we pick somebody from every program. So for every fall program, there will be an Energy Athlete of the Week. We'll hand them out on Monday. The following week, Attitude, and so on. The only one that we don't award as an athletic program is the program philosophy. That's on them. But I take care of the energy, attitude, and toughness. And I'll tell you, it's a little wristband that they get, but they can be shy and lie all they want. They really like getting those wristbands, and they like wearing them too. So we're going to keep doing that. How do we build strong programs at Mascoutah High School, this small rural town that's kind of blowing up as far as demographics and population? Well, I believe that the way that we make our program the elite program in the state is that we use this philosophy, that the big time is not a place. It's the state of your heart, and it's not something you get, it's something you become. Our kids and our programs need to believe they are in the big time. In the ever-changing landscape of athletics, with kids taking the easy way out and going other places, in college with the transfer portal, in high school, going to other schools that are offering them fake opportunities. When you're here, you're going to be in the big time. We're going to treat you big time. We're one of the only high schools in the state of Illinois that have a Nike Jordan contract. We're going to treat our kids like they're big time if they're willing to do what we ask them to do. And not every kid is. And not every parent is willing to let their kid do what we ask them to do. But we're not asking them to do anything special. Follow some basic rules, be good human beings, be good teammates, not be about themselves, be about us. And we acknowledge when they do those things. And ultimately, being a part of our athletic program will always be a privilege and not a right, and we are not guaranteeing anything by offering athletic programs here. We don't just let anybody be a part of our programs. You have to earn that right, okay? Now, we don't tell many people no, but every once in a while, your philosophy on how things should be ran might not meet ours, and that's just a philosophical difference that we just don't see eye to eye on, and sometimes the best thing to do is part ways. We don't like doing that, but at the end of the day, we have to have standards that we believe in. Here's our seasons. If you're questioning any of this, I started putting this in a couple years ago because there's a little confusion. If you're coming from another state, for example, Missouri, they play softball in the fall. We play it in the spring. So there is some, you can always obviously email me or whatever if there are serious questions, but these are the sports. Hopefully the sport that you're participating in is on this list. We don't offer everything here for those of you that are new, but we do offer quite a bit for a school our size. There always is inquiries about why we don't have boys volleyball, lacrosse, ice hockey. Simple answer is we just can't have everything. And we have to be really careful when we go to add sports of what sports are we diluting as well. We could offer 20 sports, but now we're taking sports away from kids away from other sports to fill those spots too, kind of diluting those sports. So we kind of follow schools our size. We offer about the amount of sports that schools our size offer. Private schools every once in a while may offer a little bit more, but for a school our size, we offer the standard amount of sports. Hopefully there's something here that you can participate in. Let's talk a little bit about our expectations and our code of conduct, just so there's no surprises about how we run and what we expect. We expect our kids to be good citizens. Like I said, that goes for it. I'll meet with our student athletes in a couple weeks when we get to school, and we have a really special kind of video presentation we're trying to put together for them to kind of make them aware of the burden they wear on their shoulders going into the community and acting the way they act, whether it's good or bad. Because we have hundreds of kids in our Little League programs here that want to grow up and be Mascoutah Indians. And it's important to us, to our community, and it should be important to you, that our kids are acting the way that we want our little kids in our community to be when they get to be that age. And it's more important now than ever with the things that are being posted and the TikTok challenges that are being wagered and all of these things that our kids have their hands on. We've really got to pay attention to how we're acting in the community. The worst calls I get are one saying, hey, you had 3 kids at McDonald's wearing a Mascoutah jersey and they were picking on a little kid from the elementary school. I lose my mind when I hear those things because that's unacceptable. you will be removed from our programs immediately if that's the case. Like I said, participation is a privilege, not a right. It does require that you accept some conditions. We have a handbook that you will read when you go through the registration process, which I'll cover. I encourage you to read that with your student athlete. We're not going to hover over you and watch that you read it, but you certainly need to sign a box saying that you did. And there is some important information in there, including drug testing standards and things we expect. Okay? Just a reminder that our code of conduct is not just in line with your season. Our code of conduct follows your student athlete throughout the entire year, 12 months a year. Just because it's summertime and you think it's okay for your kid to be on a boat drinking, that's not okay. Okay? I don't care how old they are or what they're. Look, I'm not going to parent your child. I'm not trying to do that. But what I will tell you is if they get caught or pictures surface or we see or hear or find that you're breaking our code of conduct rules out of season, you still will be held responsible. And typically what we do is we punish them for the season that's upcoming, their next sport is how we would do that. Every situation is a little bit different. We review them individually, but we will address them all in accordance with our handbook. Like I said, you'll sign all this stuff when you go on. The online registration process is on our website, okay? MSD19athletics.com is our website. If you just Google Mascoutah Athletics, there'll be actually a couple that come up. It's the one that has all the schedules, and you'll see it. It looks like a sports website, but there is a link up top for links and forms, and it'll have a registration button. It will walk you through that process. Hit registration. You'll have to go through it all. You have to register, and you have to get a current physical. They last 13 months, okay? And just so you guys know, I do see some people taking screenshots, which I totally am cool with, but this will be posted as well. I'll post this online for those of you that don't have your phone or whatever. So all this stuff will be posted online in the next week or so. Eligibility-wise, a student must be enrolled in passing 5 classes. Okay, right now in the high school, your student likely will be registered for 6 classes. Okay, that's the standard. We have some kids that take an extra class, skip some things, but generally speaking, your student will be registered for 6 classes. They have to pass 5 of them every week to be eligible. So just to clarify a couple things that usually come up, okay? Let's just hypothetically say Samantha passes first quarter, okay? First quarter's over, and second quarter starts. And Samantha fails her first test of the quarter, okay? In 2 classes. That doesn't make her ineligible right away, okay? We do average the 2 together, and we have a formula that we use to include the first quarter grades. Now, that said, if you fail first quarter and you get 2 A's on your first test, second quarter, that doesn't make you eligible. I just want to be clear that we don't penalize you for the first couple weeks of a quarter, but we also don't reward you either, okay? Eligibility is a thing that I get to the coaches every single Monday. Some point during the day, we check and make sure kids are passing. If there's a discrepancy or something close and there's, a teacher didn't put something in, I will go check that out. I am not here to hold our kids out of athletics. That's not what I want to do. But I also don't want to have to forfeit games because we have ineligible kids playing. So we got to be really careful. We'll work with the kids to a point, but at some point during the week, we got to draw a line and say we got to move on with what we got. We have a 10-point scale here. You have to get a 60% to pass. Okay? If you can't get 60% in 5 classes, we need to really think if athletics is what we should be doing. Okay? Focus probably should be somewhere else. That's just my personal opinion, by the way. That's not a policy. I'm just telling you how I feel. All right? I don't typically like to give the benefit of the doubt to a kid that doesn't prove to us that they're trying to be eligible. Physicals. Have to have a physical. I mentioned this already. And I will kind of bounce around. I'm sorry, there's really just no order to go in. I'll hit on all the important stuff so you can get out of here. But physicals. We offer physicals twice, okay? One is this Thursday, at the middle school, 6 to 8, MMS. Anybody can go, high school or middle school kids. And then we'll do the same thing here next Thursday, 6 to 8. They're $15. They're good for 13 months. Okay, 13 months is how good a physical's. Now, a couple caveats to that. If you're an incoming freshman, your school physical counts also as your athletic physical. If you are a sophomore, junior, senior, you will need an athletic physical. And I know, one thing that happens a lot, I want to make sure you understand, is my kid doesn't play a fall sport. They just play a winter sport. They play basketball. Okay? So I really don't need a physical right now, this second. I get that. But you don't want to wait until tryouts are there, then make an appointment and forget, and now we can't try out and make the team and all that stuff. I'd encourage you to get it now, no matter when your kid plays. It's good for 13 months. So if you just keep getting the ones we offer here for $15, by the way, which is a third of what you're going to pay if you go out into Walgreens or somewhere else to get it, you'll be set up for 13 months. So that's what we offer here. Dr. Klemico does that for us, donates the proceeds to the athletic department. So it's really a nice deal for us. Nice deal for you. So it's kind of just a nice relationship we've worked out with him. He's been a huge supporter of our programs for many years. So we thank him, but that's a great opportunity for you to get a physical. To be eligible as far as attendance goes during the school day, you have to be in attendance for 3 hours to participate that day in sports. And if you're not feeling well or whatever it may be, you have to be in school for 3 class periods. That's how it goes. 3 hours, 3 hours. 3 actual hours. So it's actually a little bit more than 3 periods, okay? School day starts, I believe this year will start at 7:40. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's about the same as it was this year. But it doesn't matter let's just say you came to school, or you didn't come to school. We have a game on a Tuesday night. You didn't come to school, weren't feeling very good, but you were feeling fine at lunchtime, and you came in at 11 o'clock. You would be able to participate, okay? But if you came at 12:30, you wouldn't be able to participate because we get out of school at just after 2:30. So you got to be in for 3 hours. All right, that's the rule. Used to be 5. I kind of negotiated to get that down. I want to give kids every opportunity to participate if they're not feeling well. So that's why we have that in. Obviously, we have some exceptions to the rule. Funerals, school-sponsored field trips obviously aren't held against them. And then, there's always something that comes up that I can't even bring up tonight, with the family, whether it's there's all kinds of things that could come up. I just need to approve it. So if we have something, now we won't approve everything. I mean, we're not just going to take kids to Six Flags and say it's a family day. Can't do that. But if we have something very important, we will consider, giving the exception for them to participate. Hopefully it's worked out in advance. I did want to hit on the athletic. Actually, usually I have a couple slides for our trainer. She actually sent 2 to me today. Lori Hulling is our trainer. She's been here for several years, does a really good job. And she has a brief message for you that I won't need to repeat. So let's see if this works, first of all.
Hi everyone, I'm Lori Holian. I'm the athletic trainer here at Mascoutah. This is my 7th year as an Indian. Just to give you a little bit of information about my role, I am the first line of defense for your athlete and their injuries. So I care for everything from hangnails to concussions. Here in the athletic training room, we do injury rehab, injury prevention. I also work with the physical therapists at SSM Health Physical Therapy in Belleville. So if we have an athlete that needs more time than what I'm able to offer them, we can see about getting them in over there to do some rehab. We have great communication with those physical therapists, so if we need to, we can even tag team a rehab program with them. When it comes to concussions and concussion management, we're able to do all of that here. If for some reason I believe it would be beneficial for your athlete to see a physician, I will definitely let you know. Otherwise, I'm able to diagnose, treat, and return to play. If your athlete has seen a doctor for any reason, or any injury, the school, as well as myself, will need a note stating that they're out of activity for how long. They also need a note stating that they are able to return to activity. So if you have an athlete who is diabetic, asthmatic, or has another pre-existing health condition that I should be aware of, please contact me so that together we can come up with a plan for regular care and or emergency situations. I'd hate to be blindsided by something that we could have prevented. And please don't leave it up to your athlete to relay this information to me. Remember, we are dealing with teenagers. Please, also just a reminder, August in Illinois is hot. Please make sure that your athlete is properly hydrated and properly fed. Practicing or playing on an empty stomach is like driving a car with your gas light on. You're not going to get very far. So it's easy to fill the tank, and it can prevent a major emergency, especially on these hot, humid days. I often hear, I can't remember to bring a water bottle, or I don't get up early enough to get some food, or when school starts, I have early lunch. Please help them plan ahead. It makes my job easier, and the coaches will be very thankful also. As far as my hours go, I'm at the school beginning at 2 p.m. every day. I am present at every home event. I travel with the varsity football team and to the occasional postseason games. When we're not having practice or games, I'm generally here until the end of practices. If you have an athlete and you have questions or comments or concerns about anything, please feel free to stop by my office or shoot me an email. Otherwise, thank you, and I hope you have a great athletic season.
All right, so a lot of information there, obviously. Like I said, I will post this online if you ever want to rewatch that. But she is kind of our safeguard to all things injuries, all things health. I'm certainly not a health professional, nor do I want to be or claim to be, but our coaches are in the same boat, right? They know some basic first aid, but our trainer, who does a great job here, Lori, has our student athletes' best interest in mind. I know it's disappointing when kids get hurt and maybe are ruled out for certain amounts of time. We want our kids back as fast as we possibly can. She wants our kids back as fast as we possibly can, but we've got to do it the right way. Again, we're not perfect. She's not perfect. Her original diagnosis, she's gotten criticism at times for maybe misdiagnosing something out of the hundreds of things that she tries to diagnose. Okay, so just have a little bit of understanding that she's doing the best she can. She oversees all 600 of our athletes, and she is the bridge to healthcare. So she needs to know what's going on. There's nothing wrong with going to a doctor. We would never tell you not to go to a doctor. What we can do, however, is if you do get injured or your student athlete does get injured, we want her to see them first to get an initial evaluation to make sure that we don't go rush somewhere where they just say you're out for 6 weeks, okay? Because sometimes that happens, and once a doctor does give us that information, we're at their mercy. Once a doctor writes a kid out for a certain amount of time, they would be the one ultimately, they would have to clear him unless we got a second opinion, and that stuff becomes an issue. So again, we will deal with our kids as she will very seriously. She'll do the best she can to help you get to the right place. She's dealt with people with all different kinds of insurances and knowing where to send them and stuff like that too. So all that stuff comes into play. So if you have any questions specifically, especially if your kid already has something that is a concern athletically that she needs to be aware of, the asthmas of the world and those types of things, maybe reach out to her a little bit sooner and get what you need from there. Transportation. We're very fortunate here at Mascoutah. We have our own bus fleet, which is very beneficial. I think for a lot of us don't understand how beneficial that is. Many districts have gone away from such a thing. We're one of the few that remain that has our own fleet of buses. So transportation is generally not an issue for us. However, we are starting to run into some problems with driver availability. Bus drivers are depleting. A lot of the loyal bus drivers we've had here for years are retiring, doing other things. So twofold. One is we are running into some transportation issues. The second part of it is if you are interested in driving a bus, I have some information for you that I could give you and maybe help you get employed. So if in all seriousness, if you are someone that's maybe retired or know somebody that would like a part-time job with the district, we are in desperate need of bus drivers. They train you on site. It's decent pay. I don't know all the details, but I certainly can get you in the right spot. So let us know if that's something that you may not know we had available that you'd be interested in. Be glad to link you up with Kenny Neuner, our transportation director. We do expect our athletes to ride to the contest on the bus. Again, There are circumstances that would allow us to make arrangements for your kid to ride home, maybe with a parent, things like that. I do leave that up to the coaches, okay? I will say this. Varsity sports, we really expect the kids to ride to and from the games. It's all part of the experience for us. You know, one of my biggest pet peeves is everybody wants to ride home after we win a big game, but we lose a tough one, and everybody wants to go home with their parents when they're not feeling it, you know? That bothers me. That's part of the experience. That's part of being a good teammate and going through the tough times and the good times together. It's all part of it. I also understand on the flip side, for underclass, when things are pressing and we're freshmen and sophomores getting used to the homework load and all that stuff, that there may be some times where parents prefer to get them home early. I don't mind it as long as the coach is good with it. And we have certain things to sign and all that stuff. Each coach provides those if that's something you're interested in. But like I said, just to reiterate, varsity sports, most of our varsity coaches, with the exception of a couple minor situations, will expect your kid to ride to the varsity games on the bus and home. But again, all on the coach. I'll have to sign anything that is to the contrary of that as far as getting different ride home. Athletic fee. Our athletic fee has gone up $5. Okay, it's $60. I'm sorry that we have to charge you anything. It's not that, you know, I hate asking for money, but running athletic programs these days is expensive. It's very expensive. Your kids will be in quality uniforms, the best equipment we can buy. We're not rationing equipment. Okay, your kids, if they're going to play sports here, out of the things we provide, will be top of the line. You know, our football players are walking around in $600 worth of stuff, each of them. We have 120 kids in our program. So you can imagine, and it just goes all the way down. I mean, you know, for soccer uniforms and basketball and volleyball equipment, I mean, just volleyball stuff's become expensive. We replace everything's expensive. So the cost does help at least offset our cost. I will tell you this. In Highland, it's $200 per sport to play. We're $60 per sport, and the max you can pay is for 2 sports. The third one would be free here. So we do feel like we keep this cost down in comparison to the rest of the districts. We're the cheapest that I know in the state. We're the cheapest athletic fee that I know of. So we'll try to keep that down the best we can. It's been $55 for 12 years, by the way. It just went up to $60 this year. So the required forms, and don't panic. All of these forms are on the registration link on the website. You don't have to print them out. None of that. It's all e-sign when you get on there. I just wanted to let you know what you're signing. You know, it's kind of fine print, but you know, you got to have a current physical. You're going to have to sign an insurance waiver, basically saying you have insurance. If not, you can buy a private policy, I believe, through the school. It's not through the school, it's a third party, but we can get you connected to that if you need that insurance for your athlete. We'll need some information, emergency information, obviously. The IHSA reserves the right to test for steroids. Typically, that's done in the state series. So once we make the postseason, they could come in at any time and test for steroids of any of our student athletes. On top of that, we went away from it for a year. We will be back into instituting random drug testing here at school. You will submit to that when you sign these forms. It's in there. It's just what we're going to do. I can't guarantee you that your kid's going to be tested. If you're dying to have your kid tested because you're concerned, I'd be glad to help you with that. I don't want it done weekly. If you're worried about your kid being tested for drugs every week, probably I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? But we do want to help if you're dealing with some things. But we will randomly select a number of athletes on a monthly basis, test them for street drugs. We will let you know that we're doing it. Certainly let you know the results. They'll know the results, but it's just something that we feel like we need to get back to doing for several reasons. Hope that's okay. Hope that's not a deal breaker, but you know, we have a responsibility if we're going to run an athletic program to run the cleanest one we possibly can. And so that's what we're going to try to do. Again, we'll miss. We're not perfect. I know we have 1,200 kids. I think we have more now. We have over 1,200 kids in this school, okay? Most of them are great. Almost all of them are great. But we can't let the 10% that don't want to be great affect the other 90% by helping them make bad decisions. Okay, so we're going to try to do our part. I don't want to beat that drum. We will drug test when we, on a random basis, our student athletes. This is what you should expect from every coach, okay? And again, I want to reiterate, I'm proud of our coaching staff. I've been fortunate enough now, I think, been here long enough. Out of our 18 head coaches, I've hired 17 of them. I think they all have very good qualities. I think that they're all flawed like all of us are. You know, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. We maybe say a mean thing once in a while that we don't intend to be mean, but it comes out of frustration. Or we, maybe put ourselves in a situation that doesn't sit well with a parent. We don't hide from problems here. Okay, we're going to have conversations if you have an issue. Okay, all we ask is that we go through some things a certain way here. What you should expect from your coaches, their philosophy. They should tell you why they do what they do. They should be positive motivators. The definition of positive motivation could be different for a lot of different people, okay? But we want to motivate our kids. We're going to give constructive criticism. It's not always going to be what the kid wants to hear, but hopefully they take something from it and they can be better. You should know their expectations, obviously when practice times are, how they're going to discipline their athletes, and ultimately fairness and communication is something we expect. Again, I have visited with coaches in our staff about not doing all of these things well sometimes. Sometimes we all, maybe get off of our straight line. But we're doing our best to provide good coaching with quality people, making our programs elite. That's what we're trying to do. We don't want people coaching here, A, that they don't take a lot of pride in coaching at Mascoutah, and B, that aren't going to be fair. Okay, so we're trying the best we can to have those type of people here. This is what we should expect from the parents. Concerns, go directly to the coach. And when I say that, you have an issue with, we want to stay away from the playing time because that's obviously arbitrary, all right? There's different opinions on who should play more. It's subjective a lot of times. Very few sports are objective. There are some. Golf's pretty simple, guy shoots the lowest, probably going to play before the guy who shoots the highest. Wrestling. And two guys wrestle, one wins, but not all sports are like that. So we do the best we can. If you have a concern about how your son or daughter is being treated, address it with the coach, okay? I would also encourage you to have your student athlete address it with the coach, and then you address it with the coach. We can talk about, if that doesn't solve the problem, we'll talk about what we can do in a minute here. But these are the types of things that we want you to do. Please pick your kids up on time is in all caps, because our coaches have families too. So now, by the same token, if our coaches tell you practice is going to be over at 6:30, they need to get out at 6:30, okay? Maybe 6:35, if something goes on. But if that becomes an issue, you let me know. But in turn, we need our kids picked up. We can't sit here till 7 or 8 o'clock when practice has been over for an hour, why our coaches need to be home with their families too. So parent meetings, we have them all the time, all right? I have parent meetings for a living sometimes, I feel like. It just depends on the season and the year, all right? But here's the thing. Talk to the coach. If you don't like what the coach says, let's schedule a meeting. All right, make sure it's 24 hours after the issue. We don't want to have a problem in a game and yell at the coach when they're coming off the field. That never ends well, all right? And we don't allow that. You'll be escorted out if that's the case. Obviously, if we're dealing with something serious, like legal or an injury or something like that, different story, but you guys get the point, all right? You can make an appointment to meet with me and the head coach. No problem. I have no problem doing that. I hope it's gotten to that point. But we also require the student athlete be in there. And here's the problem. Sometimes I get a parent that says, I'm not meeting with the coach. Or the student, I just want to talk to you. That's fine. But I can only put so much stock into a conversation where the coach can't defend himself. And the student athlete can't sit in between him and go, yeah, he's right. Like, I really did do that. And it just becomes a he said, she said. I have always found that every single time we've got the parent, the athlete, and the coach in there, 9 out of 10 times, if not more than that, we're walking out of there shaking hands, understanding what the situation was. Okay? I don't like it, but we certainly understand the point of view. If we don't get all those people in the room, it gets drawn out and becomes an issue. Okay? So just understand why we need to do it this way. Okay? Thank you. Scholarships. Scholarships are awesome. All right? They're awesome. We have right now, it fluctuates, about 57 kids playing college athletics, which is tremendous. Okay, if you go out to the commons here towards the gym, we've got a wall that has every one of our college athletes on it and where they go to school and what sport they play, which is kind of cool for the kids to be on there. We haven't updated it yet for the ones going to college now, so don't be upset if you have a brother or sister that's going somewhere. We'll get them up there. But very proud of that because I think it's because we do a lot of things the right way here and we have good programs. But very few of those, like less than 5, are on a full scholarship. Okay? Lots of them get money. Lots of them have been rewarded with several scholarship dollars. The thing is, basically, if you're not a Division 1A football player or basketball player, those are the two men's sports that offer fulls or mandatory full scholarships. All Division 1A women's sports are full because of Title IX and the football taking a lot of scholarships away. It's an equity thing. Okay? Those are the only things that offer that are mandatory full scholarships. Just want to be clear. Every level below that offers an array of scholarships. They could offer full, but they just don't get as much money. So a lot of times what you're going to get is you're going to go somewhere and they're going to offer you 30% for athletics, 20% for athletics, 25 or 30% for academics, and then maybe find a grant or something depending on income. Okay? What am I saying here? Study. Study. The kids that go to the college coaches at the levels beyond those premier levels, which, let's face it, that's a small percentage of athletes. We have some. We certainly have some out there that are in the big time. SEC, Big Ten, all of it. Okay? But most of them are going somewhere where they want a high academic kid that they can match funds with to offer you a nice package so that you can come there as close to free as possible but not spend all of their athletic money. You feel me? So that's how it works. That's how it works. Division III schools offer no athletic money. It's all academic and some other things. There's grants. If parents were in the military, for example, we've got a lot of those here. Thank you for your service, by the way, very much. A lot of that here. Yellow ribbon schools. There's yellow ribbon schools that military children, if they haven't used the GI Bill, go for absolutely free. And if they have used the GI Bill, they still have military funds at yellow ribbon schools that your kid can go for a huge discount. So if your kid wants to play a sport, Division III, you have military experience, they may be eligible for some serious money to go to school. So all those things, look, I'd be glad to help you with any of that stuff if you have any questions. I've been through it all. Okay? So, what am I trying to say? Don't be discouraged if nobody's throwing full scholarships at your student athletes, okay? It's very rare. But lots of kids get offered some money to go play sports at school, and that's something to be very proud of. If you're getting 20% of your school paid for because you're a good athlete, good for you. We shouldn't be disappointed. And also, if your kid decides that going to a Division III school is the best fit for them, we should celebrate those kids just like they're going to the University of Illinois or the University of Texas, because that's where they fit. And I've got a few pet peeves, I already mentioned a couple of them. One of my biggest pet peeves is we're like disappointed that our kid didn't meet our standard of going to the school we used to buy all our clothes for. That hardly ever happens. And understanding our real athletic ability is also a concern sometimes. All right? They will find you. If you're good enough, they'll find you. Here or anywhere, they'll find you. I promise. They'll find you. Okay? So we'll help you the best we can, but you know, we encourage, I think the speech used to be kids don't get scholarships. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's just not always a full scholarship, and we'll help you any way we can. But I will encourage you, if you have a kid that you think has a 1% chance to play college athletics, get on the NCAA clearinghouse, go to the eligibility center, You can just search for all this stuff online, eligibilitycenter.org, and start entering your kid now so that you can put their schedule in there, and then you can see what they give you credit for. Because it's really important that you follow along the core curriculum that they've established by the NCAA. And it has happened here where we've had kids get to the last semester and like it all hinges on one class they got to pass because they didn't do what they needed to do. Now our counseling staff does a really good job. But ultimately, it's the parents and the student athlete's responsibility to make sure they're registered and that they're on track. I refuse to reprimand one of our counselors because one of the 400 athletes she sees didn't have the exact schedule the parent thought they should have. Okay? We all meet together. They're open for meetings too. So just make sure we're all communicating. If college athletics is important to you and important to your child, let's help. Let's start the conversation when they're 15 so we can have everything taken care of when they're 17, 18, ready to move on. Okay, one thing that we've established here that's new that I'm really, really excited about, okay, is our leadership. It's actually our leadership council. We actually call it our leadership, L-E-A-T, because we eat here, if you guys got that joke from the beginning. Leadership council is about establishing young people and putting them in situations where they're forced to lead, okay? Last year was the first year we did it. It was experimental. It went really well. It was casual. It wasn't this huge formal thing because we wanted to see how the kids responded to it. We did 2 book studies, read 2 great books. The kids were great. It was pretty much student-led. We have a couple of coaches that help us with it. Coach Stepp, our head girls soccer coach, Coach Hilgendorf, head football coach, they help sponsor it with me. They got their own shirts. We talk about real things. We try to make the kids a little bit uncomfortable, put them in situations where they got to make tough decisions in front of this group, and then maybe they'll be willing to make it in front of theirs. But we really want to build character leaders here. And so we've established this. We're gonna determine a criteria for each coach to send us who their leaders are, and then we're going to work on it every week, every Monday at 7 a.m. They're in here. If you want to be a leader, you'll get here on time, you'll get here early, and we'll establish yourself as one of those people that we can trust to be in those roles. If you miss the first 3 meetings, you're probably not a really good leader. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. So we're going to give a lot of kids that opportunity, and we're going to figure out which ones really want to do it. We're going to book study, and we've got several books we choose. We started last year. We read 2 books. John Gordon, Energy Bus, was awesome. Kids liked it. And then a good friend of mine who co-wrote a book with John Gordon called Row the Boat. We read that book by P.J. Fleck. He actually came and spoke to our kids on Zoom. It was pretty awesome. I think it was a good experience for all of them. They had a kind of a question and answer with him. So we try to do some cool things with that group, but we're also going to challenge them to lead their programs, build leadership within their programs. And I do really love this quote too. I think this is really something that I'm a quote guy, as you can tell, but leadership is not a position or a title. It's an action or example. You don't get hired as a leader. You either are or you're not. And I try to tell our student athletes, I don't care if you're the freshman that comes into camp and does everything. You can lead at any time, at any age, in any program. All right? And eventually, that cream rises to the top. People know. I know ego comes into play and things, but anybody can lead in any profession. The Booster Club. I'm almost done, I promise. So the Booster Club. The Booster Club has been an awesome organization for our athletic program for tons of years, going way back into the 70s, I believe is when it started. It's been ran by basically a nucleus of the same people for the last 25, 30-ish years, okay? They're moving on. They got other lives. They have no kids here. They've been unbelievable. Sue Sachs, Di Bryant, and Billy Stukenberg have been over backwards to make sure our kids have extra things, like I said, the elite stuff that we need to compete at a high level. They contributed $50,000 towards our turf project. They're always giving us stuff to make our place better. We need some help with this group. And I've always given kind of a pitch for the Booster Club, but I've had a couple people come forward already, which I really appreciate, that I think are going to help kind of take the reins. But we're looking for, 3 or 4 people from each class, like seniors, juniors, freshmen, sophomore, to really kind of help retake hold of this thing and help it even take off to newer things. I mean, there's so many cool things booster clubs can do to kind of put our athletic program on a platform. I'm really looking for some people that have a little time. Obviously, the more people we have involved at a high level, the more functional it will be and the less time everybody individually has to put in. If this is something you'd be interested in hearing more about or figuring out how you could be a big part of it, let me know. I know volunteering is hard. Trust me, I totally understand. Totally understand it. But if you are willing and you have time and want to help us kind of facilitate this, we'd love to have you. Now, what we can do is if your son's a soccer player, daughter's a soccer player, obviously we don't want you to have to work the soccer games, okay? We can work together on that. If kid's a football player, we don't expect you to be in there Friday night while your kid's playing on the field. That's why we need more people, you know? But then we can relieve those other people when their kids are playing sports. So we really need to kind of reconfigure that. I'm always a part of that. However, the Booster Club is kind of its own entity. They have their own board, all that stuff. We just kind of need to reestablish it. So that's something you're willing to get involved with. Please let me know. I'd love to have some people that are looking to kind of just have something to do, have some stake in the game, really be helpful. They have their own email. You can also just contact me, and I'd be glad to help. Spirit items. I'm getting more creative with my get. You see that's flashing there? I felt like that was pretty cool. But anyway, we now have shifted vendors. Obviously, we were an Under Armour school for years. Now we've transitioned into a Nike Jordan agreement. So everything that we wear, I know I got an Under Armour shirt on. I don't have we're still getting it there. I got Nike shoes, but I got the Under Armour shirt. But we're getting there. It's going to take us about 6 months to get transition, and then our sports will be, our uniforms are bought on a 4-year cycle, but we're going to kind of try to get quickly through that too. We hope that in the next 2 years, everybody's completely transitioned into Nike or Jordan, okay? With that, you're able to buy Nike and Jordan stuff through a couple different ways. One is we have a 24/7 shop, sideline store, that I will continuously pump out links on our social media. Twitter, which also is our web page, our sports page, has a live Twitter feed. So anything I tweet on Twitter will go onto our live feed. Okay, so you can just look at our website. You can follow our Twitter on there. I'll tweet these things out. I get these 20% off things. This store is not, I wouldn't call it cheap, because they will print it and send it right to your house. They'll print one item. So obviously it's not going to be as reasonable to when I order 50 sweatshirts and then can sell them to you a little cheaper. We'll have those opportunities, but that doesn't happen often. This will be available 24/7 all the time. Again, I'll tweet links out all the time to it. If you just go onto our Twitter and scroll down a little bit, you'll find one. It's through BSN Sports, who's our Nike vendor. You could get pretty much anything. They have like 100 different templates. You pick the shirt, put whatever template you want on it. You can get names on it and stuff too, I think, if you want. I'm still getting kind of used to it. And then we've got an agreement with a custom lawn sign store. There's also people in town that do yard signs and stuff, but this company does one. You want to get this nice thing for your yard here, you can just buy that. I don't know how much it is, but it's on there. I think it's like $50, honestly. But anyway, you can get a yard sign, put them in your windows, whatever. If you got a business in town, want to decorate, perfect. But I have the link to that tweeted out as well. I'll continue to do that. I'm going to try to send out gear and item links once a week. So if you're on social media, like on Fridays, I'll probably always do it on a Friday, just to kind of, so people can, you don't have to search far if you're looking for that stuff. So kind of cool. I mean, obviously, like I said, there'll be opportunities to buy other stuff other ways. This is one way you can get something all the time. There is our Twitter, MHS19 Athletics. If you just search Mascoutah Athletics on Twitter, you'll find it. This is our website, msd19athletics.com. And this is my email address. Feel free to email me anytime. If you want to take a picture of that, or you can look it online, that's fine. I'm sure there will be questions about tonight. I tried to run through that because I want to keep you here for 4 hours. But if you have any questions for me, let me know what I can do for you. I will just close with this. I love my job. I love being the athletic director here at Mascoutah. I was born and raised here. Unfortunately, the facilities that we went to when I was in high school weren't this, but they are now. And I'm just really proud of what our community has done to put our kids on a platform to be successful. This place is awesome. Mascoutah is awesome. You can talk me out of it, try to talk me out of it all you want. It's awesome, and it's getting better. It's a great community. It has issues like every other community. We're not perfect. I'll never tell you we are. But there's something here for everybody. There's people here for everybody too. Our staff is here for our kids. They're as dedicated as any staff I've ever been around. This isn't the only place I've been. We have great people here. We have really cool parents here who care about what we do. I'm very thankful for that. But I just ask you, support our kids. Put something in your yard. Put something in your window. Tell your kid you love them before they leave. But most of all, when they come home from their sporting events, I don't care if you don't like what they did. Tell them you're proud of them. They need to know it. They need to know it. And if it's coming from you, it's a heck of a lot more meaningful than coming from me. I try to tell our kids all the time in school I'm proud of them. I also let kids know when they let us down a little bit, but also giving them the opportunity to still make us proud. So we don't give up on kids here, but we also want to make sure they know when they go home that you're proud of them too. So thank you very much. Here's the school. Here's the locations for the meetings for your current sports. Obviously, winter sports and spring sports. We will meet at another time. This is just for fall. 280 and 200, if you just go out the auditorium and up those steps, it's the first two classrooms right there. You can't miss it. Everything else, self-explanatory. Media Center is right out in the Commons. Room 70 is if you just go alongside the cafeteria all the way down. It's on the left. You'll see that. And football's in here. Other than that, thanks for coming. Go Indians.